Hey, Shalom, Mashal. I want to start off source by giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakah, Kodash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers doing their work in truth, sincerity. This is a quick one. This is inspired by which was Soleimani's daughter, basically saying that the families of U.S. troops are, quote, waiting for the death of their children, right? It says families of the American soldiers in Western Asia. Families of the American soldiers in Western Asia have witnessed America's humiliation in Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Afghanistan, Yemen, and the Palestine wars. Zainab Soleimani said in a speech this morning, she said the families will spend their days waiting for the death of their children, right? Now, you can have these proud American military wives or whatever, basically thinking that this is an empty threat, which at this point in time nothing really is gonna come of this. This ain't it. This is one of those wars and rumors of wars, right? But it did make me think of the scripture in Isaiah 47 where this is actually going to happen. Right, it says Isaiah 47:8 says, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly, that says in thine heart, I am, none else beside me. Right, it's referring to America. This what would you call it? This chapter is referring to America. Right, it says, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Right, so in terms of like those great mass death of children, like America hasn't really known that, right? Not like these other nations have, right? But that is coming. That is coming. It goes on to say, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, right? For the multitude of thy sorceries, right? The witchcraft, right? That America is built on. It speaks in there about, the witchcraft from your youth, right? America's been built off of witchcraft, right? It says witchcraft, rape, robbery, and murder. And all those things have to be paid for. It says, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments, right? So your military husbands, they're gonna go to war and they're gonna die, right? Your military sons, they're gonna go to war and they're gonna die, and your daughters as well, right? Your daughters gonna be drafted, right? Because you push for equality, right? And in fact, there was on the social media I saw a tweet where basically a woman was like, what's equal rights? I don't know about no equal rights. Basically mocking the idea of a World War III, and basically saying, look, if that happens, you can keep your equal rights. Which goes to show you that, these women are full of shit, right? Even if it was said in jest, right? There was truth to that, because they don't want to do this. They don't want to get drafted, right? They'll fight for equal rights up until the point it doesn't suit them, right? Notice how you don't get guilds, not guilds, that's not the word I want, but notice how you don't get, women complaining to be the, to be allowed into, binmen, all of them nasty, gritty jobs, right? Plumbing, right? Jobs where you got to get your, your hands hella dirty. Yeah, there might be one or two women now, but like, oh, I want to be a plumber, right? But for the most part, these women are, they're begging for the, they're begging for them, high paying jobs. That's what they want, right? It says, fine. Let's do that, right? It says, therefore hear now this, thou, yeah, we read that already, right? It says, how much, this is Revelation 18:7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, right? For she saith in her heart, I said a queen, I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow, right? But once again, right, these sorrows are going to come, right? Your children are going to die, your husbands are going to die, and your daughters are going to die, right? And if you're over there in the land of America and you're in of the elect, right, then you going to die, right? So therefore shall her plagues come in one day, right? And we read this chapter, I believe it's this chapter, right? It's 1 hour. America's going to be destroyed in 1 hour, right? Completely destroyed in 1 hour, right? It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, right? For strong is the Lord power who judgeth her, right? So America's going to be destroyed in 1 hour, right? But before that, you're going to have a whole load of death. You're going to have a whole load of people dying, right? It says, Joel 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Basically divert, funding from agriculture to your military, right? And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong, right? And you're seeing that with these small nations now coming up and saying, you know, and so I'm on duty, and I'm on duty at the moment. Right, it says, let the weak say I'm strong. It says, assemble yourselves. So I was saying, let the weak say I'm strong. You're seeing these smaller nations coming up and basically being a menace, right? Talking shit to these bigger nations, right? It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, right? Yeah, it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. For therein that means Yahweh's judgment, Yahweh, and Shaphat meaning judgment, right? The valley of the Most High's judgment, right? For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down. Right in that Jehoshaphat, the valley of Jehoshaphat, that's over there in that Middle Eastern region, right? So yeah, we don't pray for peace in the Middle East, right? Like these so-called Christians do. No, we pray for heat in the Middle East, right? Because in that heat is once the chip has been implemented, we're gonna have that destruction happening over there. Right, it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. Right, so they gonna be a whole load of dying, right, over there in that land, right? Gonna be a whole load of dying. It says Isaiah 66:16, right? For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh plead with all flesh. The slain of Yahweh shall be many. Right? You're going to have, well, in fact, let me read it. I'll start from 15 actually. For behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with a fire, right? With his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire, right? So Yahweh Shai, he's going to come in them chariots, right, with the host of heaven with him, the angels with him, when those chariots, or what the so-called white man calls UFOs, right? The Lord Yahweh Shai's going to come, right, and they're coming to do two things, right? Deliver the elect, right, and to destroy, right? So it's going to be a whole load of dying in that day. That's why it says in Daniel's the 12th chapter and the first verse, there's going to be a day like no other. Right, so 2nd Ezra 13 from the top says, and it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Right? It says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, and this is referring to Yahweh Shai, right? Coming back in his chariot, right? His big, the big fathership. Right? Says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, is referring to the lasers that come out of the ship. Right? It says, and like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Right, this sea here is talking about the heavens, not like from the water, right? And it says, behold, but I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Right, that's that chariot. Right, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So it was so massive, Ezra couldn't see where it began or where it finished. Right, so it was massive. Right? It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet that's fine. Right? That's talking about those military men, right, that go and try fight the Lord, right? It says, and lo, it's luckier. Because yeah, all of these heathen nations, they go and get together and try to fight the Lord. When the Lord comes back. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet that's fight, yeah, because the Spirit's going to be putting them, to fight. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flame and breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, right? And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, right? And fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. Yes, so they all got destroyed. All those men that are gonna try and fight up against the Lord, no matter what military they're from, they're all gonna be nothing but dust and smell of smoke. And Ezra finishes off by saying, when I saw this, I was afraid, right? But yeah, I believe that's all I got. Yes, like I said, I was just inspired from what that the daughter of the killed Iranian lead military man said, right? Says the families of U.S. troops are waiting for the death of their children, right? So that's reminiscent of what the scriptures say, right? This is just a war and rumor of war, but the end is not yet. The chip has to be fully implemented, and don't forget the prophecy of Jeremiah 49:20. The least of the flock shall draw them out, i.e., these gutter rats are gonna do something stupid that's gonna draw America out into this war, right? But yeah, keep watching and praying, and hey, Lord, will this be the year that we be delivered? So until next time, shalom.